The truck market is experiencing something unprecedented in 2026. And if you own one of these 9 models, you're watching thousands of dollars evaporate from your investment every single month. Values are dropping so fast that dealerships are refusing trade-ins, and private buyers won't touch them at any price. This isn't normal depreciation. This is financial collapse. Right now, across America, hard-working truck owners are discovering their $50,000 to $80,000 investments have become $30,000 liabilities in less than 3 years. Mechanics are turning these trucks away. Insurance companies are raising rates or dropping coverage entirely. And the manufacturers? They're quietly distancing themselves from the disaster they created. What's happening goes beyond typical market corrections. These trucks were rushed to market with unproven technology, experimental powertrains, and promises that sounded revolutionary but delivered catastrophic ownership experiences instead. The companies bet big on trends and regulations, gambling with your money, and now everyday folks are paying the price. We're going to expose all 9 models, explain exactly why values are cratering, and show you the specific failures turning these trucks into financial nightmares. If you're considering buying used or you already own one of these, what comes next could save you from devastating losses. Let's start with the truck that promised to revolutionize everything, but ended up revolutionizing nothing except how quickly $70,000 can turn into $30,000. The Ford F-150. Lightning represents the widest gap between marketing promise and ownership reality in modern truck history. Ford sold America on a vision, your familiar F-150, now electric, capable of everything the gas version could do while saving money and the environment. Early adopters lined up, convinced they were getting the future trucks. They got an expensive beta test instead. The EPA estimated range of 320 miles becomes 160 in actual conditions. Tow a trailer, add cold weather, drive highway speeds. That number drops to genuinely anxiety-inducing levels. Owners report calculating range like pilots running on fumes, constantly worried whether they'll make it home. One Colorado contractor keeps a gas generator in his truck bed, completely defeating the purpose, just so he won't get stranded between job sites. Ford promised charging infrastructure that simply doesn't exist. Public chargers are broken, incompatible, or occupied. Home charging requires electrical upgrades many owners never budgeted for, sometimes costing $8,000 or more. A Michigan owner called his Lightning the world's most expensive driveway ornament after discovering his rural property needed massive electrical work to charge it properly. Here's what Ford doesn't advertise: battery replacement costs. When these complex packs fail, and early data shows alarming failure rates, owners face bills exceeding $30,000. That's more than many used Lightnings are worth today. Insurance companies increasingly refuse to cover these costs, leaving owners completely exposed. The used market has rendered its verdict brutally and decisively. Auction prices have collapsed, with trucks selling for less than half their original sticker after just 18 months. Dealers won't accept them as trade-ins except at catastrophic losses. Private buyers are educated enough now to stay far away. One auction manager told me they can't move Lightnings at any price. They sit until we practically give them away. Current Lightning owners are trapped. They can't sell without taking massive losses. They can't trade without owing thousands more than the truck is worth. And they can't keep driving without constant anxiety about range, charging, and looming repair costs that could exceed the vehicle's value. But at least Lightning owners have functioning trucks most days. The next model on our list has owners dealing with something far worse. The Ram 1500 TRX looked like the ultimate performance truck on paper. Stellantis took the reliable Ram platform and dropped in a supercharged Hellcat engine, producing 702 horsepower. Truck enthusiasts lost their minds. Here was American excess at its finest, a pickup that could smoke sports cars while hauling lumber. Nobody mentioned it would smoke your bank account even faster. That supercharged 6.2-liter engine delivers impressive power at catastrophic cost to everything else. These trucks average 8 to 10 miles per gallon in real-world driving, and that's when everything works properly. With current fuel prices, TRX owners report spending $300 to $400 weekly just to commute. The 33-gallon tank provides barely 300 miles of range, meaning you're constantly at gas stations watching money flow almost as fast as fuel. Maintenance costs make luxury cars look economical. Oil changes require 8.5 quarts of synthetic oil and specialized filters, costing minimum $250. The supercharger needs regular service at $1,500 per visit. Massive brakes, complex suspension, and specialized tires all wear at accelerated rates due to the truck's immense weight and power. One Texas owner documented spending over $9,000 on maintenance in his first year alone. These are track vehicles masquerading as daily drivers, and the components weren't designed for everyday use. Supercharger bearings, fuel pumps, and transmission solenoids commonly fail before 40,000 miles. When they do, owners discover parts are on nationwide back order for months, leaving $80,000 trucks sitting useless. Insurance companies finally caught up to the TRX risk profile. Many owners report insurance costs exceeding their loan payments. Several major insurers stopped writing new policies for TRXs altogether, classifying them alongside exotic sports cars rather than trucks. Combined with depreciation exceeding 45% in 2 years, TRX owners are trapped in financial quicksand with no escape. But the TRX at least uses proven combustion technology. What happens when manufacturers gamble on completely unproven systems? The next truck shows exactly how badly that experiment can fail, and why one of America's most trusted brands is facing its worst reliability crisis in 50 years. The Chevrolet Silverado AVA promised to reinvent electric trucks with superior technology and innovative features that would shame the competition. General Motors spent years hyping this truck as their electric future, the vehicle that would prove they learned from past mistakes. Instead, they delivered a masterclass in overpromising and under-delivering that's left early adopters furious and financially devastated. The software controlling these trucks is fundamentally broken. Owners report weekly over-the-air updates that frequently break more features than they fix, turning basic truck functions into gambling exercises. One Michigan owner documented his truck locking him out completely after an update, requiring a flatbed tow to a dealership where it sat for 17 days, while software engineers worked remotely to resolve the issue. His $75,000 truck became a driveway ornament because of bad code. Battery degradation is occurring at rates that violate every promise GM made. Some first-year owners report 20 to 30% capacity loss already, translating to rapidly diminishing range that makes the trucks increasingly useless. Vehicles that initially delivered 250 to 300 miles now struggle to reach 200 on a full charge. GM's warranty only covers battery capacity if it falls below 70% within 8 years, meaning owners experiencing 20% degradation have zero recourse despite significantly reduced functionality. The service network for these vehicles simply doesn't exist in any meaningful way. Traditional Chevy dealers lack the equipment, training, and expertise to address complex electric powertrains. Multiple owners report being turned away from dealerships for basic issues because no technician is certified for that system yet. When service is available, wait times stretch into months rather than days or weeks. Your truck breaks, you wait, and you make loan payments on a vehicle you can't drive. Perhaps most concerning are the widespread charging port failures plaguing these trucks. The complex cooling and communication systems in these ports are proven catastrophically unreliable, with many owners reporting complete charging inability after just months of ownership. When these failures occur, the trucks become immobile sculptures. They can't charge at home, at public stations, or even with dealer equipment. One California owner has had his Silverado EV at the dealership for over 60 days, waiting for parts that literally don't exist in the supply chain yet. But at least Silverado EV owners chose an experimental vehicle knowingly. The next truck betrayed buyers who trusted a 50-year reputation for bulletproof reliability. What Toyota did to Tundra owners represents perhaps the most shocking fall from grace in automotive history, and the financial carnage is still unfolding. For decades, Toyota trucks were synonymous with invincibility. The brand built its entire reputation on vehicles that refused to die, trucks that routinely exceeded 300,000 miles with basic maintenance. When Toyota redesigned the Tundra for 2022, buyers expected that legendary dependability in a modern package. Instead, they got what industry insiders are calling the worst quality control failure in Toyota's history. A betrayal so complete, it's destroying 50 years of carefully built trust. The twin-turbocharged V6 engine that replaced the proven V8 has become automotive infamy. Owners report catastrophic engine failures before completing the break-in period, often with less than 5,000 miles showing on the odometer. These aren't minor issues requiring warranty repairs. We're talking complete engine replacements resulting from fundamental design flaws that Toyota seemingly never resolved before rushing these trucks to market. Internal investigations revealed widespread metal contamination inside these engines. Manufacturing debris from the production process, including metal shavings and casting sand, is circulating through oil passages, systematically destroying bearings, timing components, and turbochargers from within. One master technician with 30 years' experience called these engines time bombs, waiting to detonate due to contamination issues Toyota refuses to acknowledge publicly. The recall situation has become a nightmare that keeps getting worse. Many trucks have received multiple engine replacements, only to have the replacement engines fail with identical issues, suggesting Toyota hasn't actually solved the underlying problem. Their service network is completely overwhelmed, with month-long waits for engine replacements becoming standard. One Washington owner documented waiting 74 days for his engine replacement, only to have the new engine fail within 1,200 miles. He's now on his third engine in 18 months. The resale value collapse is particularly shocking for a brand that historically held value better than any competitor. Current generation Tundras are depreciating at twice the rate of previous generations, with used values falling 30 to 35% in the first year alone. Auction data shows many 2022 models selling for less than 60% of their original MSRP, a financial disaster for owners who chose Toyota specifically for strong resale values. Toyota's reputation was built on standing behind their products unconditionally, but that's changing. Many owners report increasing difficulty getting warranty claims approved, with service advisors speaking quietly about internal pressure to classify failures as owner-induced damage rather than manufacturing defects. The brand that once defined customer service excellence is now the subject of multiple class action lawsuits from owners who feel betrayed by a company they trusted implicitly. What makes Toyota's failure so devastating is the betrayal factor. These weren't budget trucks from questionable manufacturers. These were premium-priced vehicles from a brand that charged extra specifically because of their reliability reputation. Owners paid $50,000 to $70,000 expecting 2 decades of trouble-free service. Instead, they got engine failures, endless dealer visits, and plummeting resale values that left them financially trapped. But even Toyota's reliability meltdown pales compared to what's happening with startup electric truck companies. These manufacturers are discovering that building trucks requires more than venture capital and marketing hype. The next vehicle on our list represents everything wrong with the modern automotive industry: a perfect storm of unproven technology, non-existent service networks, and questionable corporate viability that's leaving early adopters stranded in ways that make traditional reliability problems look trivial. What happens when your $70,000 truck comes from a company that might not exist in 2 years? Number 1. Rivian R1T. The truck that proves venture capital can't replace engineering experience. Rivian entered the market with billions in funding, partnerships with Amazon, and promises that would revolutionize truck ownership. What they actually delivered was an expensive experiment that's teaching early adopters painful lessons about trusting startups with mission-critical vehicles. The fundamental problem is Rivian's complete dependence on software to control basic vehicle functions. Unlike traditional trucks where mechanical systems operate independently, virtually every R1T function requires functioning software. Door handles, drive modes, even basic climate control all run through complex digital systems that fail with alarming frequency. Owners report trucks becoming completely inoperable after routine over-the-air updates. One Michigan owner woke up to find his truck completely bricked in the driveway, unable to unlock, start, or even charge after an overnight software update. The fix required a flatbed tow to a service center 300 miles away, where technicians spent 11 days attempting to restore basic functionality. His $70,000 truck sat useless for nearly 2 weeks because of a software glitch. The service network exists primarily on paper rather than reality. With just a handful of service centers nationwide, owners routinely drive hundreds of miles for basic service or wait months for mobile technicians who may or may not have the necessary parts or expertise. One California owner documented waiting 4.5 months for a replacement high-voltage battery component. During that entire period, his $90,000 truck occupied his driveway like an expensive lawn ornament, completely unusable, while he made payments on a vehicle providing zero transportation value. Battery fire risk remains the concern nobody wants to discuss openly. Multiple, well-documented thermal runaway incidents have occurred, with vehicles completely destroyed. What's particularly troubling is Rivian's aggressive non-disclosure agreements with affected owners, legal documents that keep these incidents out of public view and prevent affected parties from sharing their experiences. Insurance companies have taken notice, with several major insurers quietly restricting coverage or substantially raising rates, specifically for Rivian vehicles based on risk assessments they won't publicly detail. The elephant crushing the room is Rivian's questionable long-term viability as a company. Despite producing approximately 50,000 vehicles, the company continues hemorrhaging billions of dollars annually with no clear path to profitability visible to industry analysts. Owners increasingly face the very real prospect of owning orphaned vehicles from a bankrupt manufacturer. Imagine trucks with no parts supply, no service network, and potentially no software support for critical functions. When your vehicle requires constant software connectivity to operate and that company ceases to exist, you're left with an expensive driveway decoration. Resale values reflect these existential concerns brutally. Used R1Ts now sell for 30 to 40% below original purchase prices, despite relatively low production numbers that should theoretically support values. The early adopter premium has transformed into an early adopter penalty, with many original reservation holders now underwater on their loans by tens of thousands of dollars. One financial analyst described R1T ownership as combining all the risks of bleeding-edge technology, startup company instability, and luxury vehicle depreciation into one catastrophically expensive package. Looking across all 7 trucks, a disturbing pattern emerges that should concern every truck buyer. Every vehicle on this list prioritized marketing appeal over engineering fundamentals. They all rushed unproven technology to market before proper validation. In every single case, everyday truck buyers are paying the price for corporate corner-cutting and quarterly earnings pressure. What's particularly troubling is how these failures contradict decades of proven truck development principles. The Ford F-150 became America's best-selling vehicle through careful evolutionary improvement, not revolutionary gambles. Toyota built its legendary reputation on exhaustive testing protocols that delayed releases until engineering teams were absolutely certain. These time-tested principles have been abandoned in a desperate rush to meet arbitrary regulatory deadlines and satisfy impatient investors demanding immediate returns. Compare any truck on this list to its counterpart from just 15 years ago. Those vehicles regularly exceeded 250,000 miles with nothing but basic maintenance. They could be repaired anywhere by anyone with standard tools and reasonable mechanical knowledge. They held their value so consistently that trucks were considered wise financial investments rather than depreciating liabilities. That era might be ending before our eyes. This industry-wide failure signals a dangerous future for anyone who depends on trucks. As manufacturers continue prioritizing technology integration over fundamental reliability, we risk creating an entire generation of disposable trucks. Vehicles designed to last only through their initial lease period before becoming financial burdens too expensive to repair and too worthless to sell. The era of the million-mile truck may be dying, killed by complexity that serves corporate interests rather than owner needs. If you own one of these 7 models, you're facing decisions with no good options. Keeping it means watching your investment continue plummeting while repair costs mount and parts become scarcer. Selling means accepting a massive financial hit that might take years to recover from. Either path leads to financial pain, created by manufacturers who promised innovation but delivered expensive complication. The trucks that built America, that carried our goods and built our infrastructure and supported working families, deserve better than this engineered obsolescence. And the hard-working people who depend on these vehicles every single day deserve manufacturers who prioritize reliability over software features and long-term durability over quarterly earnings reports. The question isn't whether these 7 trucks will be worthless by 2026. That outcome is already locked in, written in depreciation curves and reliability data that can't be reversed. The real question is whether the industry learns anything from these failures, or if they'll simply repeat the same mistakes with the next generation, leaving another wave of buyers financially devastated. The market has already rendered its verdict. Now, we wait to see if anyone's actually listening. The truth is, if you're shopping for a used truck right now, these 9 models represent everything you need to avoid. Not because they're bad trucks in theory, but because the ownership reality has diverged so drastically from what was promised that they've become financial traps. Values will continue falling through 2026 and beyond as more owners discover these same issues and flood the market trying to escape. Smart buyers are watching this unfold and adjusting their strategies accordingly. They're gravitating toward proven platforms with established reliability records, trucks that might not have the flashiest features but won't leave them stranded or financially ruined. The boring choice has become the smart choice because manufacturers broke the trust that took generations to build. What we're witnessing isn't just a market correction. It's a fundamental shift in how trucks are built, sold, and supported. The companies that survive this transition will be the ones who remember that truck buyers need dependability more than they need 17 different drive modes controlled by software that crashes. For now, these 9 trucks stand as expensive warnings, monuments to what happens when marketing departments override engineering teams and quarterly profits matter more than decade-long reputations. The owners paying the price deserve better. The industry that created this mess needs to acknowledge it before the next generation of buyers learns these same painful lessons all over again.